Well, to talk further with us about what this deal means for both Brussels and London, we're joined now by Kevin Matthews. He's an assistant professor of European history at George Mason University. Kevin,
Good to be
listening
with you.
to that report right there, obviously Brussels didn't want Boris Johnson to fail, but this can't really be good for them. Does it set a dangerous precedent that you can leave the EU and effectively get the same sort of trade deal, the benefits without the burdens?
I don't think so. This deal came about at the last minute, really through sheer exhaustion. You have to remember that these talks have been going on for 9 months. They were very testy a great deal of the time. There's a lot of tension. I think one of the final pushes was the fact that earlier this week there was a terrible backup of long-haul trucks going across the English Channel. The issue was the unrelated fact that there is a new variant of the coronavirus that's just ripping through the U.K. And so the EU port authorities would not let these trucks through. But it gave everybody an idea of what a no-deal Brexit would look like. And so that was the final push. For the UK, it means that, yes, they're out of the EU and Boris Johnson can say he's got a deal. But there are a lot of details that have to be hashed out. This is a 2,000-page document, and lawyers are going to be going over it both in London and in Brussels over the next couple of weeks. The Brexiters right now in London seem to be happy with it, but to use the old cliche, the devil is in the details, and who knows what's in those 2,000 pages.
You mentioned the backup of trucks there. Does this deal allow for some flexibility come next week, or should we expect chaos at Dover and Calais?
Well, they got to get this tie-up sorted out first. There are going to be a lot of truckers, unfortunately, who are going to be spending Christmas in their vehicles. Once that's taken care of, yes, you will probably see a fairly smooth flow of trade. But people ask who were the winners and losers in this deal. The real winners were bureaucrats, because this is going to increase paperwork galore for trade between the two sides. One of the biggest problems is going to be in services. Before this agreement, if you trained to be anything from an accountant to a restaurant chef in the UK, your training was accepted in the EU. That no longer is the case. There's also the problem with financial services. London has been the hub of Europe's financial markets for the last 40 years. And they've already lost something like 7,500 jobs since 2016. They're set to lose more. And while this agreement doesn't address financial services, they decided months ago that that would be a separate agreement. It doesn't signal a good future for the City of London.
And the UK service sector, I think, makes up something like 80% of the British economy. Scotland's First Minister said that the deal is a disaster for some farmers. Do you agree?
Well, the UK Farming Association doesn't, but you have to remember that Nicola Sturgeon has her own agenda here. She is facing elections for the Scottish Parliament in May, and the indications are that her party, the Scottish National Party, will win a resounding victory. She hopes to use that as a springboard for another independence referendum. Her party lost that referendum in 2014, but they lost it mainly because of older voters. And now you've got another 5 years in which that generation is passing by. So she wants to use this as a vehicle to gain Scottish independence and then take Scotland into the EU as its own separate state.
In 2014, when that referendum, obviously the UK was still part of Europe, part of the EU.
Right.
How binding is this agreement? Could another British government try to renegotiate elements of the new relationship in the years to come?
Well, it's funny you say that, because there are already some in Britain who are talking about another referendum down the road. But I think this is going to be a number of years away. The British people have to come face to face with the idea of either being in Europe or not. And right now, the Brexiters have the upper hand. We're going to have to see how it's going to affect the British consumer, British business person, student. The one thing that you might want to bear in mind is that the younger the voter, the more pro-European they are. So you could see a reapplication of the UK, or what's left of the UK if Scotland leaves, sometime down the road. But I don't think anybody can predict what's going to happen ultimately.